guys, Mike here. I just want to touch today on the thoughts around revival. And one of my favorite Old Testament people is Jacob. And especially if you remember that he had a revival break out in his life when he wrestled with God and he wouldn't let go of God, and God touched his hip. We've talked about that before in earlier ones, way back at the beginning of the lockdown. But anyway, so he had a personal revival. His life changed from that moment. And remember, I've told you before that his son born to him after that event with God was Joseph. And he had a special love for Joseph and taught him and Benjamin quite differently than he had taught his older boys. But anyway, years have gone by. Joseph's disappeared. He's been sold into Egypt by his brothers. They told their dad he was murdered, but we'll go there next time perhaps. Finally, he reveals himself to his brothers after a whole lot of shenanigans and back and forth. In chapter 45 of Genesis says this, in verse 26, it says, they told him, Joseph is still alive. In fact, he's ruler of all Egypt. Jacob was stunned. He did not believe them. Imagine that, losing your son for 13 plus years and suddenly you've been told he's alive. It's better than a soap opera. But when they told him everything Joseph had said to them, and when he saw the carts that Joseph had sent to carry him back, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. Now this is the same man who had a revival moment when he wrestled with God, and his life changed from that point on. But he's been very depressed these last number of years. But it says there in chapter 27, the spirit of Jacob revived. And I just want to look at a couple of brief things today. He says in verse 28, I'm convinced that Joseph is alive. I will go and see him. This is a guy who hasn't been able to get out of his bed because he's been so depressed and just wants to die. Suddenly he wants to get up and go. They go through a place called Beersheba, maybe touch on that next time, and he offers sacrifices to God. And it just got me thinking about that. When do we offer sacrifices to God? It's when we're thankful, when God has promised us something and he comes through, even if it's late, even when we think that we're at the end of our life and despair and depression and such like things. But God comes through and we offer sacrifices. And look what happens. He offers sacrifices to God, and then God speaks to him in chapter 46. And he appeared to him in a vision at night and said, Jacob, Jacob. And Jacob says, here I am. Then he says, I am the God of your father. He said, do not be afraid to go down to Egypt, for I will make you into a great nation. It's interesting, when he said, here I am, that compares with God speaking to Abraham in Genesis 22:11, where he said, Abraham, Abraham, and Abraham said, here I am. And Jacob says the same thing. But the here I am means, I'm not bigger than you. I'm coming to you as a servant. Speak, for your servant is listening. I'll leave it there for now. We'll touch more on revival. You want to have a revival spirit? Here I am, servant heart, servant spirit, and giving thanks to God, offering God sacrifices at the right time. Bless you heaps. Catch you later. Bye.